before we get started. Now, ironically, I'm talking to you about this, and you've done this like 17,000 times with like real people. And I'm sitting in
Shut
my
up, real
basement,
people.
and there's literally going to be a cat that's going to walk across the back of this. I guarantee it. Or the cat's going to knock over the bee lighting here in about 2 minutes. I see him eyeing up the cable, and
That's
here I am trying to give you direction. What should I be doing? Is really what I should be asking you.
How's it going, everybody? This is Ged. Welcome back to Fabulous Flix. Today we're going to take a new journey together. We're going to launch a series called A Walk Around Guelph. And why, you ask, is because the world and the internet need some more positive vibes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a virtual walk around Guelph. I'm going to try and touch base with people like local business owners, local politicians, public figures, to find out what they've been up to during this lockdown and really what they're going to watch in the next 30 days. I figure we have a stay-at-home order, so why not? And I could not think of a better person to start this off with than Dhanung Bulsara. Him and I have a ton of history together. You might know him from The Details. You might know him from BlogTO. You might know him from seeing him running around with the University of Guelph football team. But regardless, this was supposed to be about 15 minutes and turned into a catty 35-minute gab fest. I watched it again this morning before I shot this part, and I'm so excited to bring this to you. So I hope that you will join me. Perhaps the incredibly handsome gentleman who's at my front door right now, Colin Casey, will also one day join me, who's the owner of Pinnacle Driving Academy and quite the YouTube stud himself. Anyway, without further ado, myself and the young legend, Dhanung Bulsara.
Welcome on here, Dhanung. How are you, bud?
I am ecstatic to be here right now.
You sound so naively sincere when you say that.
My favorite thing to say when I do these, because it's so cliche, but I like to say long time listener or long time watcher, a first time caller. But I can actually say that with you because I have been following this journey that you've embedded on right now.
Yeah. It started back in March with this literal setup. Only it was my iPhone and an IKEA lamp that I bought brighter bulbs for. Yeah.
And when you started this whole thing, I thought it was just you flexing how incredibly, how you've set up this incredible basement of yours, and you were just flexing and showing off to the rest of us and making us all feel like, we need to do more with our man caves.
Yeah. No, that was definitely not the case. It was really because I was bored, and I realized that a lot of people my age who had kids now, we're all stuck at home together. They're homeschooling. Parents are working from home. Wives want to kill their husbands. Husbands want to kill the kids. And I thought, we had the opportunity to grow up in a really cool era of movies. And it'd be a lot of fun to kind of share that and help people remember movies like The Hooks and The Footlooses and the early Avengers stuff and The Working Girls and the Pump Up the Volumes of Christian Slater. Like just these old, cool, like the Breakfast Clubs. So my hope was that somebody would see it and go, I remember that. And then rather than strangling little Jimmy, they'd all sit in front of the TV and watch a movie instead. But it's definitely come a little bit. Now there's a green screen involved and actual lighting and a camera. It's very, very strange.
I was gonna say that, as a massive cinephile and a huge appreciation for film, like, and especially old film, the one thing I'm looking forward to in life is when I have little Dhanungs running around, that I can go sit and watch Jurassic Park again or Back to the Future again and show them the movies that molded me and that were instrumental to my upbringing and my childhood as well.
Yeah,
And that's what I appreciate about your show.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, they're doing such good things with 4K transfers now, right? Like I picked up, or my wife ordered the Jurassic Park 4K transfers, and they're absolutely brilliant. I mean, the stuff they've done with some of these older movies is just absolutely second to none. So I guess first things first.
Well,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say your review of the Lord of the Rings in the 4K, like the level of depth and detail that you went to, and what it means and what it will do, and it's not like them trying to do a money grab. Like it
Yeah.
legitimately changes your experience and your whole perspective watching movies. So you're right. Like I think a lot of people don't appreciate it, but there's nerds like us that do.
Absolutely. Yeah. All three Hobbit movies on New Year's Eve. It was like 9 hours and something. And then we did Lord of the Rings. I do need to shoot a review for that. I did the Lord of the Rings a couple of weeks. It was like 12 hours and 7 minutes or something like that. It was just unhealthy when you have this much time.
But you're
But
being productive.
so tell me about yourself. So like, just so anybody who doesn't know, and I'll bring up some memories later on in this conversation. You and I have a lot of history.
Totally.
I interviewed you for a position at what was Future Shop back in July of '07. And just so everyone can see, I'm going to share my screen here and
Oh,
everyone's going to have a look
I haven't even seen this, folks.
and see
No way!
what little what little
Dang!
D looked like. So
Little D,
there
still
we go.
little D.
Yeah, and you were always with your crew. You got Vincent over there. There's well, I knew him as a very shy Jatine, but he was
Yes,
JT Audio for quite some time. And then there was the other guy right in the middle, and I always forget his name.
Harry. That's Harry.
That's the other Harry.
Yes, that was two Harrys. Yes,
Because
yes.
there were two Harrys. Because here's one with
Oh my
Harinder
goodness!
with the C. So you're sitting in the middle
I'm
there
sandwiched. Yes.
around your whole crew. There's Tom over there, Tom Pekarsky on the far side. There's Robert Turvey who just wants anyone to love him. Vinny Tran, the
Again,
whole mobile crew right there.
I gotta tell you, I rarely get goosebumps, and I'm just like shivering right now. This is just bringing back so many memories and so much nostalgia. And we were a bunch of little troublemakers as well. So I'm going through all the memories and the stories
Yeah,
that happened during this time. This is great. Oh
yeah.
my
So
goodness.
here's a lineup. There's Danang there, kind of crouched down on a knee, kind of right beside Nila Ilhampto, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Just unbelievable. And this was my 10th Future Shop.
Oh really?
Yeah, it was my 10th store, 6 or 7 years, I think 6 cities. And I had the
I,
opportunity to come home, right?
It's so weird thinking about it. Like now, Future Shops in the category of the Zellers and the Kmart's of the world, the Byways. Like
Yeah.
it was an OG store. Like
Oh,
it's pretty cool. Quite
100%.
wild to think that.
And it was like a different time back then, like commission sales. There was no such thing as Amazon. My best friend who lives out west ran the first two Boxing Days when Future Shop went online, and they had to manually process orders. So they
Yeah.
were up for like 16 hours, literally like manually clicking buttons back then, right?
And you just gave me some PTSD by saying commission, because you were pushing the cables, the batteries, the software, everything that you get with a cell phone or a camera, and it just gave me so much stress thinking that
Yeah.
I needed to push those things. But you were
You know,
always a good sport about it. I will say that.
well, I felt very fortunate when Guelph came, and I say this with the absolute utmost sincerity. It's not because we're sitting on this together. But Guelph, like I said, was my 10th store. And I started as a sales manager at Weston Road, went to Dixie Dundas, made a pit stop in Kitchener, went out to Sarnia, then came back to Guelph. And even though like you guys were all very green around the gills, right? It's not like you guys were any type of veteran sales guys, but you guys lived that culture. Like you guys were so infused with passion and energy, and obviously Jatine was really into music, and Harry was really into people liking him with Robert Turvey, and and then there was this little fireball of energy, which was you. And I knew back then, like you can definitely identify people that you're like, one of these days you're going to do something really cool. And all the way back then, like this was back in 2007. And like seeing what you've been able to accomplish and do, man, it's so cool.
That picture is such a great representation of how lost I was in any of that training sessions that we had. I'm just happy to be here, guys.
Yeah.
You know what's
Uh,
interesting question is, this is for you. I'm making this interview about you because I that is my job as a digital host. I usually ask the questions. I don't like
yeah,
being on the
yeah,
other
yeah.
side,
No, it's
but
kind of weird. I
can
realize.
you
Yeah.
imagine how I don't would it be easier or more difficult to train kids now because they're so in tuned and they can just go to YouTube to learn about technology as opposed to us? Like you literally gave us all the foundation and knowledge that we needed to know to sell cameras and cell phones, all that sort of stuff. Whereas, I mean, kids come so well equipped now. Like there's vloggers that are 13, 14, 15 years old and they know more than I could ever possibly imagine.
To me, I actually found it easier. So, my last stop recently was I was a sales manager with Mini BMW for about 3 years, and I found it for the way that I like to approach a relationship. I find it easier. A lot of traditional sales managers really struggled because to me it was easy that if people are already so well equipped with all of the knowledge they've read, you said it, they watch every YouTube video, they know every recall, they know more about a vehicle, an iPhone, a digital camera, an SLR. They know more about it than we ever could. So the goal is just to humanize
Hmm.
the experience now. I always joke that salesmanship is dead. We're all just incredible digital storytellers. It's
Hmm.
really what
That
it
is a
comes
really good
down
way
to.
to
If
put
you
it.
can create an emotional engagement in an online setting and somebody comes in to see you, as long as you're genuine to who you are, they've made a conscious decision to make you a destination because
Hmm.
people can just click online and order something. So if someone walks into a space now, they're looking for a relationship, not the product. I love that. Some people really, really struggle with that. So I would love to snap everybody back 13 years. First of all, I'd eat a little bit different. And I think it'd be a lot of fun to kind of train that next generation, right? But
I know you keep
yeah,
calling me a young man, and I'm gonna sound like an old guy saying this, but I think the challenge now is to teach people how to have conversations. I think that part of it is lost. Like everyone knows all the technologies and the fronts and backs of it, and how to rewind it and fast forward everything. But the art of conversation and becoming more than just a salesman and becoming a friend is something that a lot of people are starting to lose touch of, and that's because everyone's behind a screen now when they communicate with one another.
yeah, and I think it goes even further than that. It's about human relationship. If you think about the really good friends you had 10 years ago are probably the same core group of friends as you have now. And that's not a bad thing. But I think that most people, and you and I might be different because we're obviously a little bit of a different breed, but most people I know don't have new friends. If
Hmm.
if you think about it, unless they've started a new hobby or started a new sport, nobody has new friends because no one knows how to interact. The only time
Right.
people are making friends are in an online community. How many
Hmm.
YouTube videos do you see or scroll through on your Facebook feed of like, oh, my boyfriend went to meet his online friends he's been playing, he's been gaming with for 7 years.
Right.
I'm
Playing
sorry,
Call of Duty with all these
what?
years. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, no, you're right. We've really kind of migrated away from that relationship. And yeah, I mean, when I decided to launch this mini series about kind of like a walkabout Guelph, I was so excited when you said you'd come on because it's such a fun conversation to have. I dug these pictures up and I thought he is just gonna die when he sees these.
I froze. I rarely freeze, but like I haven't seen that in how long? That must have been 12,
13
10,
years.
13 years ago. So it really
14
caught me off
almost.
guard.
It was
14.
July
Yeah.
2007.
Quit adding years. You're making me feel old.
You're old. How old are you now?
I am the ripe age of 33. Let's go with that since I am not allowed to complain about how
Wow.
old I am.
I will
But
be I will be 41 in a week, in a couple days.
but you were just saying, talking about individuals in Guelph and reconnecting with them, and one of the reasons why you brought me. I just want to say, like, I am so grateful and appreciative of you because you made my experience back then you made the transition so easy, right? And you know, you run into different types, right? Different types, style types, teaching types of managers and whatnot. But I really,
Yeah.
really gravitated towards you, and when I met you, I'm like, that's the kind of personality, that's the kind of person I want to be remembered for.
No,
And
I
you have
appreciate that.
always made a conscious effort, no matter if it's 2 years later or 6 months later, when you see something, you always say, and it's always, "Young man, I'm very proud of you." And
Or
people don't
sir.
realize thank yous. Yeah, sir.
Yeah.
Like those
Always.
those
Yep.
things go such a long way, right? And I
Yep.
think I think, sometimes when you have friend circles and friend groups, you don't feel it necessary to remind somebody that they're doing a great job or give them a pat on the back, because it's just, you don't need to tell them those things because you've been friends for so long. But the fact that you
Mhm.
always went out of your way to tell me that, I'm forever grateful for it. And I knew if you ever needed a favor, I'd drop everything just to do whatever I could to help you to achieve whatever you wanted to do.
I really appreciate that, man. Like I said, it's been amazing to watch you kind of grow as a person, grow as a human from the days of running around downtown and definitely not sneaking me into movies the odd time. We used to work at Cineplex because
No,
that would be wrong. Definitely didn't do
I am a
that.
child of God. I would never do something like that.
All the way to seeing your details. So quickly, what's going on with that? I feel like we're off the rails on this at this point. So this is just going to be like a 30-minute thing about three movies. It's going to have nothing to do with it. So tell me about the details. Tell me what you're up to.
So, details specifically, I have a podcast, and it's a sports and pop culture podcast. And for me, I get to do a lot of cool things. Right, I'm a videographer. I'm a digital host for Blog TO as well. But I don't have a platform to talk about the thing that I'm passionate about the most, and that's sports. And so, it's just a great opportunity for me and my co-host James Roberts, who's my most regular host, former Yates Cup winner, quarterback for the Guelph Gryphon. So, I mean, he knows the X and O's, and I just am the nerd that studies analytics and things that people wear. And
Yep.
I'm a body language doctor, so I look for different things, right? So it's a
Hmm.
great chemistry between us, and we're able to do that. And it's also just a great opportunity for me to get reps, having a conversation, interviewing. And as you have been able to tell, like, it's really helped me and benefited me in the long run. And I've been able to talk to some pretty great people just based on that experience.
Yeah, Russell Peters, and you got the Ultimate X-wing pilot coming up or just launched. That's super exciting. And you mentioned Blog TO.
Yeah, so Blog TO, if you don't know, it's a digital media news platform, if you want to call it that. But they cover anything and everything Toronto or in the extended GTA area. So if you want the latest bubble tea, or if you want to find the great next Instagrammable spot to take a photo with your
Yeah.
partner. We're
Mhm.
usually all over it. And I always say, like, it starts out as a small thing, but then once we've covered it usually becomes viral, and it's not so exclusive anymore. So I always tell people, make sure you go to blogto.com, find out first before everyone else does. And, I always say, be a trendsetter. Don't follow everybody else.
Yeah, I mean the hyper local focus. I've watched a bunch of the stuff you've done with Blog TO, and like I love how naturally excitable you are about it. It's just a lot of fun to watch. A lot of fun to
Yeah.
watch, man. Well, I mean, obviously, best of luck. Hope you'll join me again for one of these. But let's get into the meat of why you're here. So we are in a stay-at-home order.
Mm.
You told me in a conversation yesterday, and I got to bring this up because I don't know if it's a huge compliment or it makes you a partial sociopath. But you told me you have you told me you have a written down list of what you want to watch.
Yeah. So I like
You know that's
actually
like
have.
Criminal Minds territory, right? Like,
And it's
like
funny because,
your
like,
hair smells like strawberries.
I was
Like,
gonna say crime docs on Netflix is probably like my go-to. So I've seen all the how did this individual kill this people or get away with all these sort of things. So
yeah,
I'm definitely that's definitely my MO. But for me, life is really busy. It's really hard for me to binge watch.
yeah,
It's hard to me unless it's like we talked about the movie theater experience, right? And that's for me an
uh,
escape, right? That's therapy. I go in the movie theater. I can't look at emails. I can't look at phone calls. I can't exchange text messages. I can actually watch a movie, pay attention to names, details, someone's history. Like, I just love just being immersed in that world. And there's something to be said about, being around like-minded individuals who are there for the same reason, all that sort of
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
And so,
you actually told me that you would watch movies by yourself, and I admitted to you that when I was with BMW Mini, I would go to head office. I'd be there all the time because they were all about training, which was awesome. So some of my
right.
colleagues would want to go to the bars, they'd want to go drinking, they'd want to go to other type bars, and I would drive down Richmond Hill. I'd drive down Yonge Street to the famous players down there, and I would every time I was at head office, I would go watch a movie by myself. And I remember some of my colleagues looking at me like I had three heads. I'm like, you guys just don't get it.
Yeah, and then I
Same
get that
thing.
every
You just
time.
tune out.
When I tell them I go see a movie by myself, they're like, how is that a thing? How can you do that? Don't you like feel nervous or isn't it weird? I'm like, you're not talking to the person you're with when you go to the movies anyway. So what difference does it really make,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah, I mean, I can strike it on a date. I mean, at least if I'm at the movies by myself, the
yeah, you just
expectations are set. I'm getting
yeah,
all the popcorn. I'm getting my sour kid.
yeah, just let everybody else know that you can't get a date. So whatever, right?
Yeah. Just,
But the reason I created this doc is because I know I have all this downtime, and there's a
yeah.
lot of things on my list that I really want to conquer before we get back into our normal state of affairs in the world and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's just important for me to have this checklist of things that I've been itching to see, things people have told me that I've needed to see, and also I'm a big pop culture fan, so a lot of these things that are on the list are things that people are talking about. And I want to be a part of this conversation. And
All
another
right.
big part of
Oh,
it
sorry.
is the
Yep.
Golden Globe. Sorry, another big part of it is the Golden Globes and the Oscars are coming, right? So I don't want to fall behind in the narrative and the conversation of what you need to see this year or last
Got it.
year.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay, so ideally these are movies. However, since you're the guest for once, I'm going to leave it up to you. What are the top 3 things that you're going to watch in the next really 20 days? That's about all we have left in this lockdown, although I think they just extended it. So let's say 1 month. What are 3 things that you see? There's literally a cat
I
walking
know.
around here.
I've
Yeah.
seen it a couple times.
Yeah, it's weird. What are the 3 things you're going to watch in the next month?
Okay, so I'm
And
really
why?
glad that. Oh yeah,
And
I'm
why?
really
So
glad
what
you.
is it about it? So if it's old stuff, I want to know what was it about this movie or this series that hit you at a certain time of your life that was so influential you had to go back? Or if it's new, what is it that draws you in about it?
Yeah, so I'm glad you extended it to television because I definitely didn't pick any movies because movies are much easier for me right now.
Fair.
But I chose television shows specifically for the reason of time, and I like this is the perfect time to watch the show that you always said that you never had enough time for, right? So I have 1 month and I have no excuses of not watching these 3 shows. So the first one, and this is going to pay homage to your brand of show and old stuff and like one of the greatest rewatchables and probably considered one of the top 3 TV shows of all time, The Sopranos. And I know you're going to bang your head that I've
Oh,
never seen it, but every time I cross someone and I talk about The Sopranos, they look at me like you're a pop culture guy, you love television and
oh,
movies, and you've never seen The Sopranos. And it's just that I've always wanted to make sure that I'm in the right frame of mind, that I can pay attention, that I can rifle off 3 or 4 episodes in a day and just continue to go. And there is no perfect time than right now to do this. And like this happened to me last year with Game of Thrones, right? They released
yep.
the not last year, but the year before, brand
Mhm.
new season. I'd never seen an episode, and I said 2 months, I'm going to crush this, and I'm going to be ready right in time for the brand new season. And bam, it happened, and I love that ride. So I'm looking forward to going down this Sopranos road.
Nice. Yeah. Game of Thrones just launched in 4K. That will be an
Oh,
investment that will be made for this basement based on how dark a lot of those scenes and episodes are. So much better in a
I
physical
can
media.
imagine
Okay.
the red wedding in 4K.
Well, if and I think you and I were talking about this. I've had some requests to do a walk around. So by the end of next week, I will put out a video as to what's running, what's powering it, and kind of the plans going forward. So if you are interested to know what's going on, kind of down back here, stay tuned because that definitely will be coming out. Okay, so Sopranos, amazing choice. James Gandolfini's amazing. Uh, what's his name's girlfriend was just in Sons of Anarchy. I watched. It is so good. Okay, so what is number 2?
So number 2, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go more recent with these 2 picks. Is gonna be The Watchmen. The
Oh,
Watchmen was a really nice surprise. A lot of people were disappointed in the movie adaptation that came out not a couple years ago,
many
even
years
more
ago,
so, right?
really?
Yeah. Oh
Well,
yeah.
those
I
people
think a
should
lot
be
of.
punched in the throat.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you liked it because I know I
Very
have a
much
lot of
so.
friends that like diehard Watchmen fans, and they were really disappointed in
Have you
the
seen the
movie.
movie?
I haven't, and so what I like is I've heard that you don't necessarily need to watch the movie in order to.
Disagree.
Okay, cool. So then
I
maybe
think
I'll watch the movie.
so. The show is based many years after what the Watchmen had done. There
Mhm.
are references to situations that are explained in the movie, The movie's long. It's about 3 hours.
Yeah, I think that was one thing that a lot of people, and Zack Snyder, once again, full circle, 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you're gonna watch a series, which by the way is intense and phenomenal, watch the movie. I'm sure it's streaming somewhere. If not, I will leave it on my front porch for you to take home because
That's
it's sitting in
great.
the rack over there
Well, I didn't have a movie, and now I have a
with the
movie to
future
watch, so that's
shopper seat in
perfect.
it still. No joke.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another big reason I wanted to watch it is because I heard it really does a great job of addressing some of the social justice issues that had happened in the past couple of years, and
Very,
all
very
that sort
much
of stuff.
so.
So
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see how they did that. So I'm looking forward to seeing that as well.
Yeah, and it's about as subtle as a 15-car pileup how they address it. Like
Wow.
there's zero subtlety. There's no question. It's phenomenal. Okay,
The
those are
second
two.
car pileup reference in this show, that's concerning
Yeah.
to me.
All right. So what? All right. So what is number 3?
My last one is I don't know if it was a surprise hit, but it did catch a lot of people off guard last year. Was Euphoria. I really want to watch Euphoria. I know you keep. I see now you're disappointed in me too.
No, not at all. But have you seen my Crave review?
No, I haven't.
So I have a rule that I don't talk about TV shows in any of my what to watch this month because TV shows are so big. There's so many. It's impossible. I
Right.
broke my own rule for Euphoria.
For Euphoria,
It's
so
the
I definitely
single.
then have to see.
I've watched it front to back 3 times.
Yeah, and
Once
I
with
really
a friend of mine who's going through a situation that is talked about in the show, which is about going through transgender.
mm,
Words cannot describe how absolutely phenomenal that show is.
and that's the thing.
Cannot.
I haven't heard one person say anything bad about it. For me, it was Zendaya's coming out party because then she goes on to win an Emmy, I believe, for Best Actress in the show. And
She's
then
a
the other,
savage in this
yeah,
show. Not
and
MJ.
not MJ. No, I was gonna say, right? It was
Not
really different from
MJ.
MJ. And
Oh,
what I love
man.
is Malcolm and Marie is coming out on Netflix shortly, and
Yep.
they say that's going to be a real contender in the Oscar race, and it's going to be a nice
Interesting.
surprise for 2020. And so it's the same director, I believe, as well. So I think it'll be a good setup for me going into Malcolm and Marie and seeing the chemistry, seeing how he shot the movie. Because the big thing about Malcolm and Marie is they're talking about aesthetically how great it looks. It's in black and white, so it ties both of those together. So those are my that's my third option of what I really, really want to see.
Zendaya is incredible. Hunter Schafer, who is the other main star, is brilliant. She is the transgender model and actress.
Mm-hmm.
They've done the first season. They have a prologue episode, which is just based on Zendaya's character. They have a second prologue episode coming out, which is based on Hunter Schafer's, which is on the 24th. And then they'll be filming season 2. It is literally that good. I haven't felt this way about a show in many, many years.
You're glowing right now.
Yeah,
I can feel it. I can feel it through the screen.
It's that good. It's very raw. It's very powerful. It is not something for background noise. But it will make you'll finish a couple episodes and wonder how we got here as a culture. It is disturbingly brilliant. Okay, so can I do one thing? Can I rifle off 3 movies that I will no doubt watch next month because it's like my favorite rewatchables of all time? Wait! Before you do that, I was going to chuck you under the bus. So, what is a movie that anybody who watches, all 3 people who watch this, what would you tell them to go watch?
Oh,
give me one.
And they've never seen it before. Like you have
Doesn't
to
matter.
go see it.
I mean, you don't know. Could be old, could be new. You said you have 3 movies you're definitely going to watch. Which one are you most excited about? And tell somebody to go watch it.
Oh my goodness, this is so tough.
Come on, you literally had 3 in the queue.
I know, but it's so different. Okay,
pick one.
So that
unless it's like one of those indie films with subtitles.
Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go with Jurassic Park. I love what that movie does to me. It makes me feel like a kid every single time that I watch it. I think the technology was so ahead of its time, much like Star Wars when the OG Star Wars kind of came out. And I have this admiration and love for dinosaurs, and every time it just gets me. Spielberg just gets me.
Do you know who produced? Who is a co-producer in Jurassic Park?
No.
Kathleen Kennedy, the president of Lucasfilm and Disney Plus, who
Oh,
is getting
right.
smashed on right now in Hollywood. Yeah, she's
Mm.
part of that. So I did a review of Jurassic Park,
I know
and
you did.
I told the story about remembering it was 1993. I was 13 years old. I was so excited. And like 1993, these special effects didn't exist. I remember it was a life-changing moment for this guy in terms of loving movies. So great pick. Okay, so I love that pick to go out and tell other people to watch it. What are the other two you're going to rifle off?
Well, Lion King is just like I can watch that any day, anytime, and
New
like
or old?
the old one, the OG, of
Okay.
course,
Okay.
absolutely. Like that movie just gets me in my feels, and it just
Yeah.
makes me happy every time I've seen it. And then the last one is Space Jam, and that's just because I love the Looney Tunes, I love basketball. It's just a great marriage. But those
Getting a
are
4K
my favorites.
remaster,
Is it actually?
which is going to be interesting because it's live action and animated. So because
Yeah.
it was live action, but there was no green screening back then. They had to put it on top. It'll be grossly crisp because 35 millimeter film reel can give us 8K of resolution. We know that statistically. So you're going to have this crazy raw remaster, and then you're going to have touched up animations. Like it's going to be very interesting.
I don't know if I want that. I
Yeah.
I like the idea of it looking really cartoony.
But here's the thing I love with these remasters is they're taking the audio formats down to the bare bone and they're bringing them up. And that's the best
Okay.
part of it. I picked up Top Gun, Days of Thunder, Space Jam will be the same way.
Top Gun, I can't imagine remastered. Like it must make you feel like you're actually there.
It literally looks like it was filmed in 2019 because it's all 35 millimeter reel. It's all natural lit. Like there's not a lot of artificial lighting because a lot of it's based outside, and they went to a full Atmos track. It's phenomenal.
That's amazing. Well,
Yeah.
I need to start delving into that world because it sounds like it's worthwhile.
It is absolutely worth. 4K is definitely the way to go. There's no point in buying Blu-rays anymore because if you buy a 4K disc, you literally get the Blu-ray disc with it. It's $5 more.
Right. I've actually started to make that investment
as well. You get a digital copy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a 3-for-1. Hey, talking to East Indian guy, we love 2-for-1s, 3-for-1s. Give it to us all.
No, you realize that when I brought up the Future Shop stuff, my tongue was bleeding because I wanted to bring up to the fact that you guys referred to yourself as Browntown.
Yes, we
and
did.
I didn't
we
know
most
if
definitely
I was
did.
allowed to say that.
Come on, of course you are. You're basically a part of Browntown.
I was light skinned. I'm not white. I'm light skinned.
You were a cousin.
Well, man, this has been sincerely such an absolute pleasure. I thought this was going to be about 15 minutes. This is literally going to be the longest thing I've ever done.
You know who you signed up with.
Yeah. And man, I really can't thank you enough for taking the time. I know that you're super busy. I know your schedule is crazy. And again, the goal of this is to take, people that are figures in our society. And I truly feel like in our community, you are a very recognizable figure. And people like Dan Gibson, who I'm going to have the pleasure of talking with tomorrow, and looking at local business owners, people are getting a little negative and a little toxic out there. And I think that if we can find ways to show these people online in a very wholesome and very humanely setting, I think it's important to remember that these people aren't just pictures on screens, right?
Absolutely. And I'm absolutely flattered and honored to be I didn't even know till you hit record that I was going to be your first guest. Yeah. So I'm flattered and I'm so glad we got to do this. And again, you are, an ambassador of good vibes and good energy. And so it was an absolute no-brainer for me to be here and to be a part of that because I am nothing more but a preacher of that sort of stuff because you're right. There's a lot of negativity out there and we need more people like you in the world, Ged. We really, really do.
You're far too kind. Well, my friend, thank you so much.
No problem. It's been a pleasure.
All right. Take care.
Well, that's a wrap. As you can tell, there's a lot of history, a lot of great history between myself and Dee. It was a pleasure to have him on for the first edition of A Walk Around Guelph. I'm booking some stuff coming up soon, so please stay tuned, and I really hope you enjoy this. It's fun to see the people that we might see on billboards or in local politics or, people that you might see running around a football field. sitting in front talking about the movies they love. So hope you enjoyed it and really hope you'll tune in next time. Until then, enjoy some incredible movie viewing.